Hi, I'm Ken Bikoff, and this is Matt Weaver, and welcome to the Peegs Breakdown of Hoosier Football's class of 2015. The ink is dry, the faxes are in, and Kevin Wilson can boast one of the best recruiting classes of his tenure at IU. Now, Matt, you're the recruiting expert. What are your impressions of this year's class, and what did Wilson get right, and what did he get wrong?
Well, I think the first impression for me, and I asked about it in the press conference, is the receivers. They really, we talked about during the season watching the games, they've gotten smaller at receiver, and they made a concerted effort to get bigger guys. Nick Westbrook, 6'3", Marquis Hawkins, the UAB transfer, 6'2", Kemion Patrick, 6'2", Leon Thornton, 6'1", and even the slot guys, Isaac James, 5'11", Mike Majette, 5'10", 5'11", bigger than the Shane Wynn, Jay Sean Harris. So that to me, they got, and also the secondary. They wanted to get longer in the secondary. Safety, longer guys. They've got some good ones in Antonio Allen, but they wanted some 6'2", 6'1", longer, almost basketball type guys. I think they did well there. I guess the only thing maybe you could say they got wrong, they didn't get an interior, what you maybe call an interior D lineman. I know Belden, they're going to try him at nose guard, but like a bigger, they tried to get Jamal Milan from Chicago. He ended up going to Illinois. But I don't know if you say they got it wrong because they're really deep at D tackle. I think that's probably going to be a bigger need next year since you didn't get one this year. But they don't really have any. Darius Rayner's the only senior. They have a lot of young guys at that spot. So, I think it's a solid class. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding, and it'll be 2-3 years down the road. It's all on paper right now, like Coach Wilson said, but it builds on the classes they've had before. It builds the depth, and offensive line is another area they got right. They got Brandon Knight is really good. I mean, he's a good player. Simon Stepniak, he compared him to Dan Feeney. I mean, he's a good player. Devondre Love, Hunter Littlejohn. It's a good group of linemen. So I think they've done a really good job hitting some areas where Indiana struggled in the past to recruit, and that's on the lines and in the secondary.
As they get a couple of years into Kevin Wilson's tenure now, this will be his, next season will be his 5th year here. Just in terms of the depth of the recruiting class and having a better grasp of who they need to, where they need to develop, how have they done in just improving just at the depth of the individual positions and also just building that depth from top to bottom?
Well, I think he talked about it that first year. He was begging guys to come. I mean, and really, to me, his first full recruiting class wasn't probably till what would be considered his 3rd one. That first one was basically the previous staff's class, and he added a few guys, Shane Wynn, and kept some guys like Cody Latimer. They added some guys at the end. Then even the next year, they started late. They were behind all the other schools recruiting for that class. So it wasn't until that would have been like 2013 might have been basically his first class, and that was a really good class with Allen and those guys. So I think the staff no turnover this year, which is big. I mean, they've had a guy here and there, but they've got a good recruiting staff. This staff really knows how to recruit. I mean, it sounds funny to say, but they really do. They're good at developing relationships. Wilson, I think it helps if they don't pressure kids to commit. They don't have a lot of guys flip on them. They had 2 this year, but they flipped 7 guys because they do a good job of building those relationships and maintaining them. I think they're to a point now where they don't have to be, like look at JUCO recruiting. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was huge, like 10 or 11 guys. They had, I think, 1 last year and 1 this year. I mean, they've built the team now where they don't have to reach for guys. They don't have to get desperate, and they saved a scholarship. A couple years ago, they probably don't do that because they just needed bodies. Now they can save it. Maybe somebody falls through the cracks. Maybe there's a transfer, like he said. So I just think they've done a good job, and what's been good is the classes before that, because now you can just kind of keep filling in, keep building that depth, and not have to reach for guys. I mean, they hit receivers hard, but they didn't reach for anybody. These are good players. They're all multiple BCS offer guys. So I just think they have a good plan. I think the best thing you can say about this staff and Coach Wilson, they have a plan and they execute it, and I think they stick to their board. You always hear NFL teams, they don't go off their board. I think they stick to their board. If they like a guy, they don't care what the ratings are. If they like him, they recruit him hard and they try to get him.
I thought it was interesting that Coach talked about just how the current players have really helped with the recruiting because they spend so much more time with the potential recruits than the coaches themselves. The fact that everybody has bought in is a huge positive. And how has that helped the impression that I guess recruits have of Indiana football even before they recruit and afterwards?
Well, and I think it goes back to those first couple of years. The guys that were here were previous, and you cover coaching changes. It's tough. I mean, guys, the old guys feel like they're not part of the, they're not this coach's guys because it's a new coach. So now, Colin Rarick was the last guy that was from the previous staff. This is all Coach Wilson's guys. These are all the guys he has recruited, and I think that's huge because and the guys have bought in. You'll have some attrition here and there, guys playing time or whatever, academics they don't work out, but most of the guys are here and they believe. That's what the biggest thing I get when I talk to recruits is what they hear from the players, and they tell me, hey, this is not easy. Being a college football player in Indiana, it's tough, but it's fun. The coaches are great. They'll push you. They want you to do well. They're going to be on you. But if you do what you're supposed to do, if you work hard in the classroom, you work hard as a student around campus, don't be a knucklehead, and you work hard on the field, it's a lot of fun. Now, they want to win more, which will make it more fun, and it seems like they're getting close to that, but having everybody on board is huge. I mean, you in any sport, whatever level it is, pros, if everybody's not pulling the same direction, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to.
I got 2 more questions for you, and they're tough ones. One, best recruit in the class, and the second is which one of the recruits can have the biggest instant impact outside of the UAB kids.
Best recruit. Well, that is a tough one. You know what? After listening to him today, I'm going to say Camion Patrick, and I think I'm going to say him for both. I think the reason why I think he can have the biggest impact is because they're such a need at receiver. He's an experienced guy. He played at a really good JUCO. I mean, now he didn't play 2 years ago. He redshirted, but he was on the team. And then this last year, they won 2 straight national championships, undefeated this year. They were incredible. I mean, their offense was incredible, and he was a big part of that. And in the championship game, he went off for 7 or 8 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I think you can. I don't think it's a stretch to say he might be the best recruit in the class. I mean, this is a kid that if Auburn does not get a guy this morning at 10 a.m., they're probably shooting an offer to, and hopefully they can get him, and hopefully, I knew Coach Wilson said he committed a few days ago. If Auburn offers, who knows? I mean, maybe they still keep him, but I think Camion Patrick's going to be really good. I mean, Coach Wilson you've been around him. He doesn't usually gush about guys, and he was gushing pretty good about him.
They wanted to get bigger at receiver, and they did just that. That certainly is going to help them down the road. You get some rest. I know it's been busy. So for Matt Weaver, I'm Ken Bikoff. That's the breakdown of the class of 2015. We'll see you soon.